Are you thinking of becoming a run leader? Well, here's 5 tips from me, who's been leading some runs for a couple of years now, that I thought you might want to know. I'm going to start with some practical tips. So I've got 3 practical tips and then 2 kind of additional things that you might want to think about whilst you're, thinking about becoming a run leader. So the first 3 things are all kind of to do with the runs and what you're doing whilst you're on the run. So the first thing that I think is quite important for you to know is know the route that you're going to do. So if you're leading on a certain week, know which route you're going to take, whether it's hilly, how long it is, and also if you have the ability, try and get it on your watch, so then it will tell you, it will kind of like guide you around, and if you've got a watch that kind of alerts you of any turns, keep that on. So then if it's a route that this is maybe the first time you're doing, it will kind of remind you to tell the rest of the group, oh, we're going to turn left here, oh, we're going to turn right here. So you're not always kind of needing to be right at the front, but you're also giving them fair warning as to when the next turn is and which way you're going to go. So if you do have a couple of faster runners, they're not going to miss the turn. And then also if you're saying it out loud, you're reminding the whole group and just being sure that everyone knows where we're going and that we're going to stick together, because you don't want someone just not to hear you or not to see. I often do a little hand as well whilst I'm turning. So I say, oh, we're going to turn left, and I put my hand up and I kind of like wave that way so that everyone can see, even if they've not heard what I'm saying. So you've got it 2 ways, and I think that helps. I think people enjoy that, just knowing where they're going really. So that being said, it doesn't need to be a route that you always do. Obviously variety is lovely in running. We kind of like being able to do different routes. So if it is your first time, try and get it on your watch if you have one, or just kind of know roughly whereabouts you're going. If it's a route you've done before, obviously don't think that everyone else has done it before, so do kind of keep alerting them about those turns and don't just trust that they know which way they're going. I do find it is a lot nicer for you, a little bit less anxiety inducing if you've already run the course. So maybe the week before, take yourself around the course so you know, oh, this is quite a busy crossing, oh, we might have to look out here, or maybe there's not as many streetlights there. So you kind of know in your head already what things to look out for, as opposed to just being hit with them on the time you are. If it's a route that you know and you've done quite a lot, you don't need to go out every single time you're going to lead to redo it, because you kind of know what things to look out for. But if you're in the early stages of being a LiRF, so it's a leader in running fitness, then you will want to just give yourself a little chance to go around it and have a think about the route and anything you want to bring up to anyone running with you. So the second practical tip is all about what you're wearing. So if you're the leader, you're going to want to be wearing something nice and bright. I know everyone loves to wear dark clothes, kind of black, but if you're responsible for a group of people, I think it's so much easier for other road users, other pavement users, to at least be able to see one of you. I think if you're the run leader, you're the kind of the person in charge, so it's great if you can be seen. So wearing high vis, wearing something brightly coloured, so not only the other people using the road and the pavements can see you, but also the rest of the group. So if somebody starts falling behind, someone else knows where to go to alert you, like, oh, so and so's fallen behind, just letting you know, instead of being like, oh, well, which one's the leader? Yeah. So especially if it's a new group that you're forming, they might not be completely familiar with what you look like, or if there's a newbie, it's nice to know, okay, that's the person to go to. Obviously, lots of people might come in bright coloured clothing, especially during winter. That's the time when you really need the bright visible things. Obviously in the summer, when it's kind of daylight, you can wear pretty much whatever you want, because we can always see you, unless it's a really dark day. Plus, I think people understand that, like, if you're leading the run, you're not there to be, super fashionable. You are there to be practical. So yeah, just for that run, opt for something nice and bright so people can see you. So practical tip number 3 is all about which kind of run that you're leading. So if you're going to lead a steady state run, so that's kind of like a run where you're kind of hitting the same pace generally all the way around. Obviously, it might not be exact because of hills and traffic, but you're aiming for a set pace. I would call that a steady state run. You want to pick a pace that's just below, or a little bit below, what you're capable of. You don't want to be leading a run that's at your peak threshold kind of pace, because there are times where you are going to need to say things. So if you're running on the edge, you're not going to be able to think really, or give instruction or tell people where to turn. So try and choose one that's a little bit below you, so then you are able to do all of that kind of instructions the whole way around, but then also you're not worried about how capable you are. Instead you can focus on the other people around you. If you're kind of thinking near, 45 minutes into a 60-minute run, oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it, you're probably going to go a little bit quiet or just kind of shrink back a little bit. Whereas if you're leading at a pace that is more capable and you're more able to reliably do, you're going to feel like it's a breeze and you're going to be able to get round. And whilst other people in your group might be kind of struggling, you're there to boost them up and be like, hey, we can do this. If we need to drop down pace, that's okay. Let's just keep together. Let's keep going. You are the motivator in that situation. And whether you're struggling or not really makes a big difference. So you want to be able to be the person that isn't struggling. You don't want to rub it in everyone's faces that, oh, this is so easy for me. But you do want to be able to kind of pick them up if they need it and keep alert and keep aware of everything around you, instead of constantly feeling like you're dragging everyone down a little bit. I did a run once where I was leading a half marathon at about a 5:30ish pace, and we went out for the first half quite fast. I think the first half was kind of 5-minute kilometers, but everyone in the group was doing really well, so we just kind of kept at it and kept up that pace. And then kind of near the end I started to drop back, and I felt really bad because I was struggling to keep up, and at the end I couldn't even hold the 5:30 pace, which is what we were supposed to be running at. So I had to kind of pull everyone back a little bit more in the last couple of kilometers to about a 6-minute pace. And in the end we did come out with a bang on 5:30 pace, so it was almost like I was making sure everyone got that target pace. But it felt really awful in those moments where everyone else wanted to push on, but I was like, no, I can't manage that and I need to keep you guys with me. So making sure, you're leading a level that is appropriate and that you feel comfortable telling people to slow down a little bit. I wouldn't ever try and make someone go faster. I think that is a bit of a problem if you're kind of being like, oh, let's keep going, let's push. I think that's a different kind of session than a steady state run, and I'll get onto that in the extra tips. I think if anything, you want to pull people back near the start so that you can finish strong. Unless the group's really capable of getting all the way around a little bit faster, then you can see how far they get, but do keep an eye on that pace as you go around. So that's another reason just to keep alert and not be pushing it all the way, so you are able to think about the future part of the run. All right, tip number 4 is a kind of a bit of an odd one, but it's about thinking about what kind of runs you enjoy and that you think you'd want to run. So there are a few kind of different runs that you might want to kind of lead. When you do your leadership and running qualification, if you haven't done it yet, they talk a lot about group running and they talk a lot about kind of sessions. So I'm going to group it that way. You've got group runs where you're going to kind of do steady state, trying to get a pace the whole way around. So it's just kind of a group run. And then kind of like a session where it might be intervals, it might be hill running, reps, kind of like relays, things like that we're going to call a session. If you enjoy running in a group and you love kind of just going round a loop, that might be a great session for you to do and take leadership of. However, you might also quite enjoy an interval session. If you are one of those people, see if there's any way you can lead an interval session. So maybe you want to take a group out and you want to do, 400 meter intervals around your routes. Okay. Obviously, everyone's going to do them slightly differently. Everyone's going to be a slightly different pace if you are going to do intervals. So take that into account. So you are going to need some little group up points throughout the run. But if that isn't an option, maybe at the club or the group that you're leading for, just see if, you could trial it. Maybe they only offer steady state at the moment and you're thinking, actually, I quite like doing intervals. Let's see if anyone else wants to. Talk to whoever leads the group if it's not you, and see if that would be something that they're open to. Because at the end of the day, I think everyone wants more people running and they want people to stick around. And if offering something new and that you enjoy and that you're not going to feel burdened by helps people stick with running, I think everyone's going to be all for it. Okay? You don't want to be leading something that you don't particularly enjoy, and people want to see you enjoying what you're leading. Don't be scared to bring up the fact that you want to do something slightly different, Obviously, if you're kind of doing track or coaching or things like that, there is a separate qualification for that. So that is a little bit different than just leadership and running. There is a SURF, which is coach and running fitness. So they might kind of be thinking like, oh, well, maybe you need to do that if you want to be leading those sessions. But there are sessions that run leaders can do. So if you did your training, there's a whole pack of lists and things for you to do in terms of that. You probably would have done quite a lot of the exercises and gone through it. Although I think it's online now, isn't it? I did mine so long ago. I don't know. I remember we were in Bristol and we did quite a lot of short runs. And everyone was kind of looking at our technique and giving us prompts as we did it. So there are things you can do. Just get talking to people. See if it's something that they want. If you are leading a group run and you're thinking, oh, I don't really like this, it's kind of boring, I would prefer to be doing something different, then see if anyone else in the group thinks like that. And if there is, they can back you up. You can be like, oh, well, I've heard from them and they say, actually, yeah, it's really I'd like to try it. And then just give it a go. Right, my final tip 5 for being at LiRF, and that is that you don't have to be chatty all the time. I know it feels like with all these tips that you're going to have to talk to everyone the whole way around. Don't think that way. I am definitely not super chatty when I'm running, and you kind of take it in turns. You've got a group with you, and you might start with a little bit of talk, asking how everyone's week's gone, how their work's going, things like that. But then that conversation might go off and you might have, 2 at the back just chatting on their own. The people at the front might just be thinking, right, let's just keep going. Don't feel like you have to just keep talking. Because at the end of the day, if you keep trying to have a conversation with someone and they're kind of struggling, they're just trying to keep running, they maybe don't want to say anything back to you, And I think one-sided conversations do feel a little bit odd whilst you're running, don't they? Just talking and kind of talking at someone knowing that they can't respond. I think that kind of also puts people in a place where they're feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't talk as much as they can. So sometimes it is nice just to have a little a breather and just keep running. You don't have to keep talking the whole way around. And also if you're not talking, don't get anxious about the fact that you're not talking. You're just having a little run. At the end of the day, you're all just together, and sometimes that silence is required and needed. But yeah, I don't think anyone kind of at the end of the run suddenly thinks, oh, they didn't talk that much, it wasn't that good of a run. No one's rating you on how much you've talked or how little you've talked. You can kind of feed into group energies as well. And if everyone's happy not talking, then that's all right. If you feel like someone does want to talk about something, then you can maybe try and, get to know them a little bit, ask them what their job is, what they're up to, maybe if they've got summer plans, kind of like those small talk conversations until you know people. That's all you've kind of got to go with, isn't it? Okay. I find that talking about people's races or what they're training for, they're good things to talk about. You're at a running club, okay? Some people are there just to run, some people are there to train for ultras. Get talking to them, find out more, and you can talk about your training and what you're hoping to achieve this year in running. And then as time goes on, you'll start to know what the group needs and kind of their dynamic. You'll know that maybe there are a couple of people that hang in the back quietly. You'll know that, oh, those two are really good friends, so they'll just natter away. Yeah, you'll know the dynamics a little bit more and be able to tell what their needs will be for that run. but don't think you need to talk all the way around, because that is definitely false. Okay, you can be a little bit more introverted like I am and not chat the whole time. So that's been 5 tips for any LiRFs or want to be LiRFs out there. I hope they've helped. Once you get started, it does get easier, I think, is what I can say about it. Once you've kind of found what's right for you, it really does just feel like a run. And while sometimes you do think, oh, I've got to lead tonight, it is quite nice to be forced out for that run sometimes. I hope this helps, and in the meantime, happy running!